Hey, Money Mindset Coach. Welcome to my channel. My name is Valerie, and I am here just kind of sharing some frugal minimalism finance stuff. I am a mother, grandmother, been a hairdresser, been a real estate agent, done a lot of things, and I am in my 60s. And I don't know. I just feel like I have a few things to say, and I'm hoping to bring value to your life and maybe get some laughs along the way. Because I can actually be funny. I really can. When my son was watching my very first video, he was actually laughing, and he's known me his whole life. But I just find this fun, and I'm hoping that you find some value, some humor, that you enjoy this. Please like it if you like it. Subscribe. I would love that. I don't know how often I'm going to be doing a video. I really don't know, but I am loving it. I'm really having fun. So I think I could do this for a long time. This is a lot of fun. So anyway, oh, I am doing 2024. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I am doing a no clothes challenge for the year 2024. That is something I've never done in my life, and I love clothes, and I have a lot of them. But I would have to say most have come from thrift stores. I don't spend a lot of money on my clothes, but I do love clothes. And going to the thrift store, you can really have a fine time if you really love clothes because you can get so much for not a lot of money. And it's good for the environment, and you get really good stuff. It's it's shown the test of time. If it's hanging right, it, it, it's a good piece of clothing. Now, this is, oh gosh, I don't think I even remember what this is. Usually I say what it is. But anyway, I love this top. I tend to go with 3/4 sleeves, and I like anything that has some kind of interest to it. And so I find this one very feminine, and I like that. So anyway, that's what I'm wearing right now, and I usually look at the tag before I put it on, but I didn't. So anyway, this video is going to be about my car, what happened and everything. I'm sure that a lot of you have either lived in a city or area where a lot of Hyundais and Kias have been stolen. If that's happened to you, I can truly relate because it happened to me. I was at my boyfriend's house. He lives in St. Louis. I was coming out the door to go to, I think it was a dentist appointment, and I came around the corner, and all I saw was broken glass on the street. And I'm just standing there, and oh my gosh, the feeling that I had of standing there and realizing my car had been stolen. And at that point in time, that was a couple years ago. So I was in my 60s, and I've been driving since I was 18. I'd never had a car stolen before. This was like nuts. So I go in the house, I go upstairs, and I tell my boyfriend, Tom, my car's been stolen. And he's like, what? And so he gets up, and we come downstairs, and I call the police, and they didn't care. I mean, in St. Louis, a lot of cars get stolen, so this is not new. And they didn't seem to really care. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, call back later, call this number. This one woman is handling all the cars that got stolen overnight. And call her, and she'll tell you if we found your car. So I call her, finally hear from her hours later, and she said, "Oh, give me the VIN number." So I did. She said, "Oh, we found your car." It was on the other side of St. Louis. And I thought, oh, good, they found it. That made me feel better. We spent the day going to the car lot, to the tow lot that had it. And that's the interesting thing, is if your car is stolen and you go to claim it, your insurance card that has the car and your name and everything on it, that's not good enough. You have to have the registration to the car, which is in the car, or you have to have the title, which I did have the title, but it was at my house, which was quite a ways away. So I couldn't get it. So anyway, we go in there, find out, oh, okay. So they take you to your car. First, they had to find it on the lot, and it was August. It was hot. Finally found it. Back window was broken. Steering column ripped off. That's how they started it and stole it. It had a lot of mud on it, but other than that, oh, and the windshield, I think, was cracked. But other than that, the car was okay. It wasn't dented. It hadn't been in an accident or anything like that. And there was a cop that actually found it on the side of the road, abandoned, with the door open. They just took it for a joyride, is what they did. So anyway, I found it, and then I look in the glove compartment for my registration, and it wasn't there. That made me a little worried because I'm thinking, okay, whoever stole my car has my name, my address. They know where I live. I wasn't too happy about that, but what are you going to do? So anyway, we had to go to the DMV down the road to get another registration printed out, which cost $14. So come back. Then I could go back to the car and get my stuff out of it. They wouldn't even let you get your stuff out. You just were trying to find the registration. Then you went back out to the car to get anything out of it that you wanted to get out. I called and had the car towed back to the town that I live in, which was like $350, I think, to do that. But anyway, so it was back in my town, and I wanted my car in my town. I didn't want it in St. Louis because, as it turns out, there were body shops in St. Louis that were being broken into, and the Hyundais and the Kias were being stolen out of the body shops, if you can believe that. So I'm glad that I had my car towed all the way back to where I lived, which is not close to St. Louis. So anyway, it took 2 months for the car to be fixed. The steering column was what took so long because it was back ordered, because that was what all of the Hyundais and the Kias needed, was the steering column. So I couldn't get my car back. So I had gone to Enterprise to get a car. I've always rented with Enterprise. Every car that I've ever rented, I've never rented from anybody else. Went to them. And I mean, this is what happened. I'm going to tell you. This is what happened. But I went to Enterprise and I walked out to get the car that I was renting, and it was a Hyundai. And it was a black one. I had a Hyundai Sonata that was black. This was a Hyundai Accent that was black. So it was just a shrunk down version of my car. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, a Hyundai? I don't want a Hyundai. I just had one stolen. I don't want it. And he's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Well, I should have refused that car. I should have refused it and said, I am not driving a Kia or Hyundai, and I'll sit here until you can get me something different. I should have done that, but I didn't. But I did ask the guy. I said, okay, this is a Hyundai. If this is stolen, what happens? What liability do I have? And he told me, "Oh, don't worry about it. If it happens, we'll just give you another car." So I thought, okay, I'll take the chance. 2 weeks later, I come out to go to a hair appointment, and we had backed the car into the driveway. So the window that had been broken was on the driver's side. So when I looked out the window, because that was my habit after my car was stolen, is every morning at my boyfriend's house, I would look out the window to see if the car was still sitting there. And so I looked out that morning and I saw the car still sitting there. So I thought, okay, everything's fine. And then I go out for my hair appointment, which was that afternoon, and I come out and I get to the other side of the car. And that's when I see a broken window. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, it had the anti theft, so they couldn't take it anywhere, but they still damaged the car. So anyway, I'm upset again. I come into the house. I tell Tom, I'm like, oh my gosh, they tried to steal it. So anyway, call Enterprise. We drive over there. I walk in, and the manager is standing there. And the guy who had told me, "Oh, we'll just give you another car," was standing right next to her. I come in, and I'm like, the car was broken into. They tried to steal the car that you rented me. And the manager's standing there, and she says, "Well, we're going to need $1,000 check from you before we rent you another car." And I looked at her and I said, "He told me," and I wasn't laughing, he told me, "Oh, you just give me another car." He told me that. And she looked at him and she looked at me and she said, "Well, he's new. He didn't know." And I just kind of looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, but I don't care if he didn't know. That's what he told me." And I would have never taken that car off the lot if he would have told me, "Oh yeah, if this car is attempted to be stolen, you're going to have to pay the damages on that car. And you're going to have to give us $1,000 check before we give you another car to drive." So, and I started to cry. I started to cry. I had gotten my car stolen 2 weeks before that, and here I am. Ah, I was going to lose my mind. And Tom looks at me and he said, "We're not doing this. We're leaving." And we go out into the parking lot. I'm like, what are we going to do? I have to have a car to drive. And so my oldest son happened to have a third car, a car that he had for sale. And so I talked to him and I said, "Hey, can I drive the car? I don't want to rent another car from these people. I really don't want to do that." And he said, "Sure." So I started driving his car. Well, my Sonata was a 2019 Sonata. His car that he had for sale was a 2011 Acura TSX. Oh my gosh. I fell in love with that car, and I'm still in love with it because I have it now. I bought it from him. But leather seats, sound system like I have never had in any car I've ever had in my whole life, and I've been driving since I was 18. Beautiful car, classic lines, white. I fell in love with the car. And it wasn't very long. I don't know how long I drove it, but it wasn't very long at all before I told my son, "Hey, I'm going to buy this car from you." Because I didn't want to keep my Hyundai. I didn't want to keep it because I'm in St. Louis all the time. All I would have done is put myself under stress, wondering and worrying about it being stolen again. I was working at a winery at that point in time, and there were people that came in, and I was telling them about my car being stolen. You know, it was an interesting story. And they would be like, "Oh yeah, my son, his Hyundai got stolen twice." You know, it's like I kept hearing this stuff. And then you hear about the Hyundais and Kias being stolen out of the auto body shops? No, I had to sell the car. And I had made up my mind when I got it back that that's what I was going to do. So, anyway, because I paid the car off so fast, it was probably a $20,000 car. No, I think I paid 17,000 for the Sonata, put $5,000 down, owed, I think I ended up owing 11 and paying that off in a year and a half. So I had paid it off relatively quickly. I don't think it had lost much value. And back then, used cars were kind of crazy. And, the new cars with the chips and COVID and all that, you couldn't even get them. So it was a good time to sell a used car. So anyway, I contacted Carvana and I had paid 17,000 for that car. I sold it for 15,500. Didn't owe anything on it, so that 15,500 was mine. It was wonderful. The Acura, now it had 160 some thousand miles on it, but it's an Acura, which is the luxury brand of Honda. And in my opinion, Toyota and Honda are very good, very reliable cars. I had never had a Honda or an Acura, never had one, but I knew they were good cars. And then I did some research. I found out that the engine in this particular car, it's like the longer it runs, the more miles, the better it runs. I mean, it's a fantastic car. So anyway, I bought it, and I bought it for $7,000. And I'll have a video where I'm actually showing that car because it's beautiful. I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, it's a 2011 and it's got a lot of miles on it. So, the body isn't perfect, but it's a beautiful car. Beautiful car. It runs wonderful. And I am in love with it. So, for all of you people out there that think that a car, I'm sorry, but people are paying 30, 40, 50, $70,000 for a car. It is a depreciating asset. And I'm sorry, but I use the word asset kind of loosely because I consider things assets when they gain value, not lose it. So anyway, but I have this wonderful car now. It has just turned 189,000. I've had it for a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half. The only thing that I've had to do is replace the battery. That's a maintenance thing. I drained the transmission fluid because the person who had it for most of its life did new transmission fluid every 30,000. So I've done that once. And other than putting gas in it and oil changes, that's it. That is what that car has cost me. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. I have no payment on that car. I just don't. It's wonderful. And it's a wonderful feeling, and I never want to have another car payment as long as I live. And, being in my 60s, how many cars am I going to have? I don't even know. But I'm very happy with this car. I love it. It's like a beast. It's got an awesome engine in it. It's just wonderful. So anyway, that's kind of my car story. Oh, that wasn't totally the end of it. There still was the owing enterprise for the damages on the rental car. That ended up being $359. Now, if I would have taken the insurance that you can do when you have a rental car where you pay, I think at that point in time it was $11 a day. And then if something happened, then you wouldn't owe anything and they would take care of it. I didn't do that. I always go with my own insurance, and it ended up being $359. Tom wanted me to fight it and fight it and fight it and not pay Enterprise for this. I wrote them a letter. I wrote them a couple. And I told them about the manager. And I complained. I complained. Did I really hear anything from them? No. The only thing I heard from Enterprise is pictures of the car, estimates of what the cost was, and what I owed them. Well, that ended up being $359. If I would have gone, because of how long it took me to get my car back, I would have paid 11, maybe $1,200. A lot more than 359 by the time I finally got my car back. So, I came out money ahead. I wished I hadn't had to pay 359 because at the body shop, when the adjuster came, the original estimate didn't have the new windshield in it. So they put that on there. And then they had scratches, like when you're pulling up to one of those cement things in a parking lot, and how the front of your car is kind of low and you get it kind of scrapes. It had some scratches under there because of that. And then there were some scratches in the back too, but you couldn't see them. And my body shop guy called me and he said, they've got like $1,000 on this estimate cost to fix these scratches underneath on the front and the back of your car. But he said if it were me, I wouldn't do it. I can't even see these scratches. Why don't you come by the body shop and look and see what you think? We'll fix them if you want. But if you don't, hey, you're $1,000 ahead because I got the money from the insurance company. So I went and looked and no. I said, no, I don't need those fixed. You can't even see them. So when it was all said and done with actually getting my Sonata fixed, I didn't end up having to pay anything. There was nothing. So total money out of my pocket because of this whole thing with my car was $359 to pay Enterprise for the damage to the rental car, which I never should have taken, and then $14 to get a new registration printed. And that's it. That is all that I had to shell out. So I came away pretty good. It would have been nice if I wouldn't have had to pay the $359. I would have been like, this would be great. But, it is what it is, and it's how it was. And that was 2000. Well, this is 24. It was 2022 when that happened. So I've had my car, in August, it'll be 2 years. I'll have my Acura. And it's been a great car. And it was $7,000 and it has a lot of miles on it. But hey, used cars are the way to go. They are. And I think that's all of my car story. But yeah, it's a good story. I mean, I wished I would have never had to go through that. I really do. It was awful. It was awful to feel so violated. I had an apartment that was broken into one time and they stole some stuff, and I felt very violated then too, but that was back in my 20s. I hadn't had anything happen until this. And so yeah, it all's well that ends well, I guess you can say. But I'm going to drive this car. It's got 189,000. I am going to drive this car until it won't go anymore. Because why? Why would I want to buy another car when I have a car that looks nice? It's got everything on it. Leather seats, sunroof, sound system like you wouldn't believe. And it runs well and nothing's gone wrong with it. It's like, why would I buy another car? I'm very happy with it. And I'm so glad that my oldest son had it for sale at the time. To me, I mean, not everybody that's listening to this will say that they believe in God, but I do. And I truly believe that I think God cares. He cares about you. He cares what happens to you. And I didn't think I'd get emotional. Um, but it all worked out. I ended up with a better car, I think. Yeah, it's got a lot of miles on it, but it'll go a long way. And, you know, I just think that all things, people say, oh, yeah, everything happens for a reason, all those things. And, I mean, there's a part of me that does believe that. I think things work together for people. And this worked together for me. I think I ended up with a better car and a car that I really like. I like it better than the one that I had. And, yeah, it was a horrible thing to go through, but like, I can sit here and tell you what my experience was, you know? It's an experience. And I mean, that's the thing I think with living this life is you learn, hopefully you learn from your mistakes, from your experiences. So you don't repeat those same things over and over again. Because, they say, what do they say? They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting the same result. You know, if you're not getting a good result, you got to change what you're doing. And that is why, when it comes to money, when it comes to saving and investing and everything, it's one of the best things that you can do. And it will give you peace. It will give you joy. Because I tell you, you can take somebody out for dinner. You can buy them something if you'd like to buy them something because you're not in debt. If you're in debt, you are not living within your means. Living within your means means living within what you make. If you go to buy something and you don't have the money to buy it, I don't think you can afford that thing. Now, cars, that's a controversial thing because most people think that you can't pay cash for a car. Dave Ramsey has a system for doing that. And it took a long time of listening to him before I finally heard him explain how he does it, how you can do it. But yeah, it's possible. And I will talk about that in another video because it's pretty ingenious. So anyway, that is all for now. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Till next video. Bye.